Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This is your tarot reading for the week ahead. So first and foremost, very happy Christmas and New Year. You've got some wonderful, wonderful cards here. We're starting off with the Hierophant and the King of Wands. I love to see the King of Wands in particular in Sagittarius energy. The Wands obviously being the fire sign. So this really capturing the essence of what you do best, particularly when it comes to optimism, looking forward, looking ahead. What are we going to bring through? Having a vision, having a plan. Really, really nice to see that in the King of Wands. So just as we enter into that last part of the year, inevitably thoughts of what are we going to do next, what might 2025 look like for you are going to be entering in. But it feels great. That doesn't feel torturous. It doesn't feel like, oh, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. It's not that we're suddenly making 1,000 plans or giving ourselves a hard time. It's just, as you can see with the King of Wands, he's looking out into the horizon and really taking things as he's got a firm grasp over the wand or on the wand, and the wand is touching the ground. So all of these ideas being very obtainable, really. In the background of the King of Wands, you can just about see these salamanders that are biting their own tail, and this salamander right at the bottom of his feet. Talks about the cyclical nature of things invariably. So looking back at, well, where was I at the beginning of 2024 in comparison to where I am now? Have I lost sight of my ambitions, of my plans, the things that I want to drive forward on the horizon, or am I getting closer to it? Again, this isn't about giving yourself a hard time if you've slightly got waylaid or distracted. That's a natural part of life, but this is a perfect opportunity to take stock and kind of go for what excites us, go for what sets our hearts on fire. You'll also notice with the King of Wands, the throne extends all the way out of the card so that we can't see the top of it. So making sure that these ambitions and these plans aren't kept too small. It really is an opportunity to dream big. And that's exactly what you're so great at doing, Sagittarius. It's these big dreams and the achievements to do it. And because the wand is touching the ground, you're not leaning into this quixotic kind of energy, this unrealistic energy at all. Those dreams and plans that you may have are utterly achievable and obtainable. Really, really nice energy. So there's, again, as I said to Aries sign, check out their video if you haven't done so. But there are lots and lots of things to be proud of. The King of Wands really sits in his power. That is what the king represents, the highest aspect of the suit. And the fire representing motivation, creativity, entrepreneurship. So really, kind of capitalizing on this motivation moving forward. You've got the Hierophant as well. It's interesting with the other fire signs that the Hierophant was appearing as a reminder to connect with our spiritual life. Here it seems maybe you're already doing that. It's really interesting that the Hierophant has appeared, I believe, in Aries as well. And the Hierophant is the spiritual leader, particularly he's the High Pope, so the head of the church, and it being the festive period, that seems very, very fitting. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to necessarily observe any religious ceremony or religious whatever the word may be, it escapes me, but it is about thinking, well, what spiritually does this break mean for me? What am I connecting to on a spiritual level, not just on a worldly level? You have here the Three of Cups slap bang in the middle of your reading, which is glorious to see. It is the Lord of Abundance, and you can see that there are festivities, that everything is fecund. There is a cornucopia here of fruits and vegetables and all of those things that are needed to have a feast. So great that you're able to celebrate and enjoy the feast of life, a time to come together with friends and loved ones, unsurprisingly, and things to just kind of really celebrate, ensuring that the next kind of week or so is exactly that. It's a celebration first and foremost beyond anything else. This is the whole point of kind of the winter solstice, that wintering time, is that we are able to feast on all of the hard work that has been done. Sometimes the darker days, the shorter days can feel oppressive, but it shouldn't. It should be a time, we need the rest as much as we need the sunshine, that kind of expansive energy. So just reminding yourself to luxuriate and celebrate in everything that has happened throughout the year. Make sure that it is a time for friends, that you're not just finding yourself in solitude, that you are coming together with people and celebrating with people. It's really, really key. And even if you can't necessarily do that physically, just making sure that you do that even remotely. So can you call people up? Can you do a Zoom thing? Whatever it is. If there's ever thoughts or ideas, oh, I don't want to disturb people, I don't want to interfere with people, ignore it. Really just kind of really try and bring in this collective feeling. The only quote unquote downside of the Three of Cups is that that there can be some overindulgence at times. So just making sure that you're not having too much mulled wine or eating one too many chocolates. As we know in everything in life, moderation, moderation, moderation. So even what can supposedly be good for us initially, things like celebration, feasts, all of that, we got to make sure that we don't gorge ourselves by any means. So all good things in moderation, as they say. It's interesting because I see those first three cards, the Hierophant, the King of Wands, and the Three of Cups, as a little kind of mini celebration. Again, they're all in these red robes. So there's lots of passion, lots of emotions running high, but in all the best ways. This excitement for what's coming up, this really kind of, there's lots of energy around it, but sometimes energy can be chaotic, but it doesn't feel like that here. It just feels like really kind of all the things that are getting our blood pumping. It feels great. And then the second two cards, which are the Two of Swords and the Seven of Pentacles, I would see kind of quite separately as separate energies. So it's you may find that on the back of this celebration and on the back of this joy, you're just starting to think a little bit, okay, there's some choices to be made, particularly with the Two of Swords. So you might enter January with a little bit of not necessarily trepidation at all. But they feel like important decisions, and important decisions that feel much more about honoring yourself and aligning to your path. So there may just simply be things highlighted within your awareness this week of, do you know what? That isn't doing me the best. That isn't serving me the best. And that could be anything from work, relationships, self-development, bad habits, limiting beliefs, whatever it might be. But you might just kind of be faced with them quite pronouncedly, probably coming because you're having a bit of distance from it, that you're then suddenly being able to be objective rather than subjective. But I wouldn't shy away from any of this. It doesn't feel overwhelming by any means. It doesn't feel daunting, or these aren't necessarily decisions that you want to make. They might be slightly difficult decisions to enact. It's like, oh, okay, they feel kind of big. This isn't like, do I want salmon for breakfast or eggs? This isn't like low-level choices by any means. These are kind of the big choices. But these choices ultimately bringing you closer to your happiness and bringing in a greater sense of alignment. So anything that is kind of ethically tugging on you or moralistically tugging on you, or something that just feels a bit out of alignment, may very well need a bit more of a closer examination, a frank conversation, or a frank just kind of really facing up to things. These aren't harsh truths, they're not abrupt truths, but they are things that maybe have been hanging around for a while or have been unresolved for a while, and there's just a bit of a call of, okay, that delay, that quote unquote procrastination can't go on for that much longer. Sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry at all because this all feels great. But there's just not an urgency, but there's the crunch time soon coming up. But again, this isn't having to make difficult choices. It's about having to make necessary choices. And these choices maybe have slipped on the bottom of your list of priorities just because there's been other things to be getting on with, but it slowly crept to the top. I say that in part as well because we got that Seven of Pentacles energy, which can be about taking stock, examining, looking at what we've cultivated up until this point and what needs adjustment so that it can bloom even more in a greater way. The image that's coming to mind is like sometimes we have to prune the heads off roses in order for them to grow bigger and better and brighter next year. So there may be a call for you to trim or cut off the superfluous, so that things grow in a direction that you want to take them. It's not so given that you can just allow things to run their natural course. You are going to have to make some choices here, but ultimately those choices bringing for you a greater focus, a greater sense of direction and happiness. So all good in the hood, ultimately. But yeah, don't forget to celebrate and it all looks great. And don't forget to check out your ascendant sign, your rising sign, well, your ascendant or rising sign, your moon sign or sun sign for a 360 rounded reading. But until next time, I wish you a very, very lovely festive break and see you soon. Bye for now.